good to go.
We are good to go.
Welcome back to Couch Critics, episode 2.
Hi everyone, we're Couch Critics. Today we're
And
going to review a movie that we've watched earlier this week. It's called Saltburn.
and yeah, I'm still trying to recover from this movie. I still don't understand
Mhm.
what half of the things happen. And we haven't talked about it that much. It's the first time we talked to
Yeah,
each other about it because we didn't have that conversation about
yeah,
reviewing the
we've
movie.
watched it, then went our separate ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had 24 hours to think about it and process it. And honestly, I still don't know whether I feel overwhelmed by that movie or underwhelmed because it was just so confusing. And also, we went into it not expecting anything. We didn't even watch the trailer.
No, I had no idea. Like I thought we
Mhm.
were gonna watch a completely different movie, and then
Same.
you suggested it, and I saw like the poster, and I saw that it came out like 2 days ago in
Yeah.
Canada,
Yeah.
and it seemed like a good
Mhm.
movie, and I was ready to be surprised, and I
Yeah.
was surprised.
Mhm.
So I'm happy we did watch it. So yeah,
So, Saltburn.
Saltburn. We're still recovering.
Saltburn. So, Saltburn is the new Emerald Fennell movie. She made Promising Young Woman, and it's about Ollie. He's an Oxford student, awkward and shy, introverted, who is drawn to Felix.
It seemed like it.
Yeah, who's drawn to Felix, golden boy, famous on campus, has a lot of friends, great social life, and he kind of falls in love with him. And Felix invites him to his house, his very fancy house in
Saltburn.
Salburn,
Yeah.
with his very wealthy parents. And this is when things take a turn to the worst, when Ollie starts to realize that his feelings for Felix aren't reciprocated, and things get weird.
I just want to start by comparing the movie to other movies because at first, starting to watch it, it's a thriller. So most of the times we have no idea where it's going to
Yeah.
go. And when I first started watching it, the first scene, it gave me a lot of Call Me By Your Name vibe, when they were
Mhm.
filming Felix and filming how
Yeah.
good he was at everything. I don't know why it reminded me of Call Me By Your Name. And then it was in Oxford, so I got a Harry Potter vibe.
Yeah.
And even at some point, Felix was reading the Harry Potter
Mhm.
books. So it's crazy. And then there was like the scenes in Saltburn, which is such a pretty like big castle, and
Yeah.
it gave me like this coming of age vibe of
Mhm.
movies, like people were by the pool and everything. So I love how it was all over the place. And then there was one scene where it was at night, and I just was wondering, I was asking myself, is this gonna turn into another vampire movie? Because it had this
Yeah.
vibe,
Yeah.
but it's just so different. Like the scenes, the parts of the movies are so different, and yet it's so coherent. Like
Mhm.
everything makes sense, and even though it goes up and down, it makes sense, and I love that about the movie.
I think to me it made sense to a certain extent, but I do agree that it does have that A24-ish vibe
Yeah,
when it comes to the cinematography, the style of it. And for me, it reminded me of Promising Young Woman before I even realized that
I
it was
haven't
made by
watched
the
it.
same
Yeah.
person. And it also reminded me of Babylon by Damien Chazelle. And when I did a little bit of research, I realized that the person who directed the cinematography was the same as Babylon and La La Land.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense. That
yeah,
makes a lot of sense because
it does. It.
there's this shiny effect to the
Mhm.
movie. Like it's just so pretty, and it's like the parties. Even
Yeah,
at some point, there was a party in the movie, and I had like a Great Gatsby vibe.
same.
Especially also that one of the first scenes, the guy seemed as if he was talking to a
Mhm.
psychologist. I thought he was talking to a psychologist, which at the end we realized that he was not. But he was wearing the suit and talking, and like there was the throwbacks too. So I got a
Mhm.
very Great Gatsby theme as well.
Same. I feel like the colors in that movie were the thing that struck me the most at first because it was just like so vibrant and so precise. Um, I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever we saw Felix on screen, who was played by the brilliant Jacob Elordi, I felt like they used so many warm tones, and it made him almost seem surreal, like a daydream. he wasn't human, and I wondered why aren't we using the same color tones for everyone? And it's because we're not seeing the real version of Felix. We're seeing Felix through Ollie's point of view. This is the idea of what Felix is like to Ollie, and it's not. It doesn't match reality. And then I loved the use of colder tones when we wanted to see that menacing side of Ollie, and it helped so much because the actors didn't even have to do that much because so many things were happening around them, and so therefore it just set up the tone for each scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ollie, is it just me or did he get prettier throughout the movie? Like at first he was this kind of geek with glasses and everything, and then he takes off his glasses, and I felt like it was such a classic, like,
Mhm.
you know, in movies where the girl gets the makeover and she gets
Yeah.
prettier and removes her glasses. It felt like they did the same thing with Ollie. I found it was so funny, but yeah. Um, yeah, so the cinematography,
The
great. The colors.
cinematography.
I didn't notice the colors, but I think there was this effect
Mhm.
on Felix when they were showing him. He did
Yeah.
look like this dream boy. And now that
Yeah.
you're mentioning the colors, I'm like, yes, it makes sense. Like
Mhm.
that's the difference.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I also loved the choice of music in the movie. I felt like it was so precise. There's this scene where Ollie's trying to clean up Felix's room, and then Felix tells him to stop, and you could feel the weight of rejection that Ollie feels when "Hang Me Up to Dry" by Cold War Kids starts playing.
I didn't even notice. I didn't notice that song.
It was so perfect and precise, and it helped set up the mood so fast. You also have another scene, the field scene where they're all sunbathing naked.
Yeah.
um, MGMT started playing "Time to Pretend," and it just gives you f- that little vibe of, like, the warmth of summer when you have all of this expectation and you're like with the right people and everything feels right, and you just hopeful because you just feel like it's going to be the perfect summer. And
Yes.
that was the perfect choice song choice for that scene. And even like the Florida song "Low" for
Yeah,
the
yeah, at
karaoke
the
scene,
parties. Yeah.
it goes to show the absurdity of that scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole movie is absurd. Even the comedy was absurd.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love the music. There wasn't any specific soundtrack for the movie, but the way
Yeah.
they've reused every song and matched it with the scene,
Yeah.
I found it also funny. Like when they played the song "Low," yeah,
Yeah.
it was so it didn't fit the castle in my because you're in this castle and you expect classical music
Hmm.
to be playing and everything, and then you see just like a normal party and like
Yeah.
people just enjoying their uh, regular music and
Hmm.
everything. I don't know, I just found it was so funny.
Hmm.
Loved it. um yeah, you want to talk about the comedy of the movie because
Yeah.
that's what struck me the most, the way.
I feel like comedy in that movie was used to help the satire side of the movie. It's definitely a satire about privileged rich people and how they deal with real life and how different are they from normal people. But um, I would say my opinion after yours, but I don't feel like it works actually for this movie.
Oh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I thought it was so funny.
mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, but I do understand how it was misplaced, but I thought it really lighter, is that a word? It made the situation lighter. Like
Okay,
someone would die and the mother would
yeah,
make this absurd joke about,
mhm,
oh yeah, she just wants to be the center of attention.
mhm.
And the person is dead, you know? I don't
Yeah,
know if it was it's not really a spoiler actually, but I mean we will be talking about the ending.
yeah,
Maybe we'll say spoiler alert before we do that. But I just loved it. I thought it was so funny. It just didn't make sense. And the amount I would watch this movie again just to count how many times I
yeah.
say what, because so many things happen and you're like, what? Like
Yeah,
how
the
did this
mystery
happen? Yeah.
effect of that movie was
Yeah.
very present too.
Yeah.
But I did feel like it was like the director was trying to balance too many things at once. You wanted to use obsession as a primary theme for that movie, but she also wanted to use comedy and the mystery effect. And I just felt like it was too much, and it was as if she was using the comedy effect and the mystery effect to shy away from the real stuff, which is using obsession and erotism as a primary theme. And that's exactly what she did in Promising Young Woman. That movie was brilliant. But when you leave it, you're like, I'm not sure of what I watched. It feels almost good, but it's not great. It's missing something. It's missing more risks. I need more. We had so many great scenes, and I'm referring to the weirdest ones, and they're not great because of what's happening to them, but they're great because they're crucial to the character development of Ollie. And I kind of needed more of that, of the
Yeah.
weirdness, and I feel like Emerald is trying her best, and it's definitely weirder than Promising Young Woman, but I feel like she's not there yet. It's not a great movie. It falls into the category of good movie. And someone who does take risks, like I'm just gonna give an example of another director. Let's take Gaspar Noé. He does the weirdest things in his movies, but he just goes all in it. He doesn't shy away from anything. He explores the depth of drug use, obsession, love, uh, weirdness, and it works. It just works because if you're going to commit to something, you need to commit fully to it. You can't add too many stuff, because then you end up with a brilliant anti-hero like Ollie, who's very interesting. I'm fascinated by movies who try to explore the depths of darkness of anti-heroes. And by the end of the movie, or even the middle, you start to feel like he's a cartoon character. He's not real. His development doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, his development doesn't make sense. I'm not sure I agree with everything else. I'm processing because I haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
it the way you see it. So
Mm,
I'm just now you're opening my eyes to new perspectives, and I'm like, it does make sense. She did not go to the
mm,
extremes, but I don't know, somehow not going to the extremes, having just those little shocking things,
mm,
it's what makes the movie so satisfying because I didn't know where the movie was going. I didn't know if it was going to end with a crime or like how it's going to end. I don't know if it's I haven't watched a lot of thrillers
mm.
and I don't know what's the formats of them. I was just there like
Yeah.
enjoying not knowing what's going to
Mm,
happen and waiting to see how it's going to go. In terms of character development, yes, it didn't go as far as like it should have been maybe, but that's the beauty of it because we don't know. Like I didn't know that Ollie was a psychopath because in my
mm,
opinion he is up until the end. Like up until the end I was wondering, okay, did he do something wrong or was that just an accident? Up
mm.
until I think the scene that really confirmed like that he's not okay is where, spoiler alert, he kills Venetia. That's when
Yeah.
I knew because even when Felix died, I didn't know like, did he kill him? Did Felix commit suicide? Did an accident happen? I don't know.
Mm.
I really wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because I did not want to believe that he would go this far.
I totally agree with everything that you said, but I want to understand why. Why did he even go this far?
Yeah.
My problem is actually the why, because I do not believe that we have villains in real life. We have people who lean towards their bad side, and we have people who lean more towards their good side. So if you just present someone as a good person, then they turn like into a villain this a second later. It's not coherent to me. And I know you haven't watched Promising Young Woman, but I'm just gonna make a note about it. In that movie, we have this character who does some killings,
Okay.
and we use the killings to portray her as a good person. Whereas here we have a brilliant student who's supposed to be good, and he starts killing people, then turns into a bad person. And for me, it's just not not risky enough to just box people, put them in boxes, and not try to explore the gray areas, because these are gray characters. And yes, they leaned more towards a good or bad side, but why? Why? What made them flip that switch? What changed? And I know that the bathtub scene was very disturbing. The
Yes.
grave scene was very
Oh my
disturbing.
God, yes.
But for me, those were two key scenes
Yeah.
that showed how he went from, like, okay, something like the bathtub scene, disturbing, to something even more disturbing, like the grave scene.
Yeah, the grave scene. Oh my God.
And I feel like maybe if we had more scenes like that show how Ollie's trying to either like get closer to Felix without even being in Felix's presence, or when he tries to become Felix, because I feel like he definitely tried to do
Yeah.
that at some point, it would make more sense. Because to me, at a certain point, Ollie became a cartoon character. Like he didn't feel like a human who's gone bad. Who, yeah, I'm
Now,
still trying to make sense of
no, yeah,
everything. Yeah,
totally. And now that you're reminding me of those scenes, it's it's kind of weird why Ollie would. It's as if Ollie had all along planned to get rid of Felix,
yeah,
but at the same time, he loved him.
yeah,
And this is where maybe it's not coherent because why would you get rid of someone you love? Do you, did you love him because you wanted to be him and this is why you got rid of him? Or yeah, there's a lot of questions there.
mhm.
But at the same time, everything was planned and that's what
Do you
disturbed me
think
the most.
everything was planned?
I didn't at first, but
Mhm,
it's the last scene that
mhm.
that made it made us feel like the director and the writers. I think it's the same person,
Yeah.
this Emerald. She wanted us to think it was planned,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I don't know if in real life it would have been planned or not. Like if something like this would happen, I would think it would be more of an evolution. But the
Yeah.
last scene made it seem as Ollie had no evolution and he had
Mhm.
everything just planned all
Planned,
along.
yeah, yeah. Um, Definitely. My theory is that Ollie was in love with Felix, and he tries his best to get closer to him, by maybe wearing his clothes, the bathtub scene, and because that's the closest that he could get to him. And once he got rejected, although he says like his behavior comes from a place of hate, I believe that it comes from a place of love, because to me, he was in love so much with Felix that he lost himself.
Yeah.
He couldn't differentiate between what's right and what's not. He just couldn't fathom the idea of not having Felix, and therefore he just started sucking the life out of Felix and everyone around him. And it was the only way that he could own Felix and have him forever, not share him with anyone else. And that's my theory. To me, that's a way for me to make sense of his behavior. Because to me, saying that, okay, he's a weird person, he's a psychopath, doesn't work. I
Yeah.
need to know why did he turn this way. And the comedy, it really distracts me from processing all of this and focusing on all of this. And I feel like it would have been so much interesting to just like go in with a crazy, not a crazy, but like a very disturbed anti-hero, and just follow his evolution and commit to it.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense because when you said it's love, I think it is love, but it's just love that wasn't processed correctly.
Mm.
He just didn't know
Yeah.
how to process his love. And in terms of comedy, I think it really separates the two
Mm.
different realities because Ollie is not a comedic character. I don't think he told jokes in the movies. I
Yeah.
don't remember. It's mainly the family, especially the mother, who was the more um, comic in my opinion.
Mm.
And I think that it shows how different their worlds are. Like
Yeah.
uh, I don't remember their last name, but like Felix's family and Ollie, how they're living in two different
Yeah.
dimensions with two different agendas. Ollie from the beginning wanted to get closer to Felix
Mm.
and to live in Saltburn, whereas with the family, it just they're just going on with life.
Yeah.
They don't like
Mm.
they're going with the flow. They're just on a different dimension.
Yeah.
There's a lot of naivety to the family, like
Mm.
a lot of ignorance. I feel a lot of times they're not aware of what's happening around them.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I love the commentary about, you know, the social difference between both family, but that's to me is a separate movie, like that should be made, and that would be very funny, especially you have great actors like Rosamund Pike. She's incredible and she has such a great comedic timing. But yeah, I feel like maybe they should have just extended the movie and done it in like 3 hours. Does the mystery work for you? Did you like not know that Ollie was a killer at a certain point in the movie?
I mean, at first, I didn't know if the movie was gonna end with a kill or not.
Hmm.
When Felix died, I like part of me knew it was him, but part of me wanted to doubt it. Part of me wanted
Okay.
to give him the benefit of the
Hmm.
doubt and be like, no, something else
Hmm.
happened. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it is obvious that he's the one who killed him. I just didn't want to believe it because
Hmm.
they in the beginning, with everything disturbed that he does, they still make him look like a victim. And
Yeah.
up until we figure out about his family that
Hmm.
everything's okay, that's where you're like, okay, why would he lie about all of these things? And it's not like someone who had a disturbed life or anything. You
Hmm.
would think that at first, but then you realize that no, Ali was surrounded with,
Yeah.
parents and siblings, and maybe
Hmm.
they were loving, maybe they were not. I don't know. You don't know the background, like everything else. We cannot go back to his childhood if they didn't show us that. But it seemed from the reunion with his family that they were nice people and they
Yeah.
were average people, normal
Hmm.
people, and I it's hard to justify what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, um, I got a lot of you vibe from the movie. Like with
Yeah.
Ollie, it just
The
reminded me of
Penn
you a little
Badgley
bit.
movie. Yeah. Show, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see it, or was it just me? I don't know. Did this remind you of you, or?
Yeah, it did. It's definitely very. The topic is similar to
Mhm.
you, and it does give off the same vibes as you. Yeah, it did. The mystery effect to me stopped working once we saw the bathroom scene because it comes to show that okay, like we're pointing fingers at who's the weirdest here. So obviously like when you have a first kill or like a first disappearance, you're not gonna go accuse the mother or like the sister or even like the cousin. It's so obvious. So to me everything that followed after that was related to the mystery was a waste of time because it did help show a bit of development for Ollie's character, but the mystery effect did not work for me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now it makes sense. It does.
Mm.
Because I was not blaming anybody else on the killing. I just thought it
Because
might be a suicide or an accident.
for
But
me,
yeah.
if you were trying to make a mystery movie, a thriller about, you know, like for example, a Knives Out movie, you're not gonna show the weird side of Ollie from the start. You're gonna keep it as hidden as you can, as long as you can, in order to have that wow effect. That like, oh my god, I did not expect it was him. You know?
True.
Yeah.
True.
So I feel like it was a brilliant movie, but it's just it's it's like watching three movies all at once with too many
Yeah.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Camera angles.
Camera angles.
See why you should bring a notebook. Je te jure, tous ces notes, je les ai pris when we were watching the movie.
Yeah.
You should.
Little anecdote. We got into the movie theater and Lemia just got out of the notebook and a pen and she was literally like
Taking
writing,
notes.
taking notes.
Yeah, and trying
And
to use my phone to add more lights
yeah,
and see them
exactly.
what I'm writing.
I'm definitely gonna bring a notebook next
You
time
should.
because There's no way we remember everything just
Yeah,
from like watching
yeah.
it
Especially
once.
when it comes to such a heavy movie with so
Mm-hmm.
many details,
Yeah,
you have to watch it a few times to remember them, or you have to bring a
bring a notebook.
notebook.
Next time we're bringing notebooks.
I really liked how the angles that they used whenever they were filming Felix at first. You could see that the camera was very close to him, and for example, for the house tour, it just followed him around from behind. And I feel like it's because we're watching Felix from Ollie's point of view, and I just found
Yes.
that to be so beautiful.
But I have a question. Do you think we were watching the whole movie from Ollie's point of view? Because at the end, I mean, we don't know Ollie, but we
Mm,
don't know Felix either. I think we know Felix a bit better because he's such an
yeah.
open book and
Mm,
everything. But at the beginning, I thought we were watching the movie from Ollie's point of view because there were all of these voiceovers and
yeah.
he was explaining what was happening. And then you realize that Ollie was lying, not just to Felix, but also to us about
Mm,
everything
yeah.
happening. And I was like, okay, but who are we in this movie?
Mm,
We're just an audience, but
yeah.
we're not an audience who knows everything either. So we're also kept in the dark about a lot of things.
No, it's true. I feel like we're only seeing Felix through all these lenses, not all the time, but most of the time. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This is why we feel like Felix is more of like a daydream. He's so surreal and so supreme. And when it comes to other characters, they're so insignificant
Insignificant.
insignificant that we don't get to watch them through the same lenses as Felix.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you like Felix? I was honestly impressed by his kindness and in
Mm,
terms of characters. I loved how Jacob played it. I haven't watched Euphoria, but I was talking about it
mm,
with my roommate after, and I was like, "Oh, Jacob
yeah.
Elordi is in the movie, and he plays such a kind character." And she was surprised. She told me I cannot imagine Jacob Elordi playing a
Mm.
nice character because apparently in Euphoria he was the bad
He
guy,
was the bad guy in Euphoria.
but he played the good character so well. I
Mm,
like the nice guy. It made me like him. It
yeah,
made me like wanna be that person, wanna have a person like that, you know? It's just so inspiring to see kindness. But at the same time,
definitely.
why was he so kind to Ollie?
Exactly. I don't know if I like Felix because if we believe what Ollie says about him, and if we believe what the camera shows us, she shows Felix like almost a painting. There was like this scene where he's laying on the ground smoking a cigarette, and the lights is on him. And it's so beautiful, so you're supposed to like him. But if you hear what other people are saying about him, his sister, his cousin, he's not that great. He uses people and then throws them around.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna ask, do you
yeah,
think he was manipulative? And do you think he invited Ollie over just to feel better about himself? Because it felt like a pattern with the family to just have
people over.
people around
Yeah.
them and to just, kind of show off
Mhm.
all of their wealth and everything. And it gives them a bit of power,
Mhm.
like, oh, we can give you that, but we can also take it away as
Yeah.
soon as you do something wrong. So that's where it starts
Mhm.
getting rocky with those characters.
I feel like Felix definitely try needs to be liked to a certain extent, and I don't think that there was any other reasons as to why he invited Ollie over. He needed company and he brought him over because like I don't feel like we got to explore that character that much. So I don't have enough data to like decide whether he's a good or bad person. To me, he's just a person who invited a friend over. And just to add to what you said about Jacob Elordi, I loved him in this movie. He's always playing the villain, and I don't like him as the villain. It's almost like it's too easy for him because he does give off this bad boy vibe, but he killed it as a nice guy. I did not like him in the kissing booth. I know he was nice in the kissing booth too, but the like playing a high schooler didn't work for him because he looked too tall and too old to be in high school.
Oh my God. Can we talk about the height difference between Jacob Elordi and between Felix and Ollie? I think
Yeah.
it's very representative in terms of power. Like
Yeah.
Felix is taller and Ollie is so small and
Yeah.
so intimidated, or he seems to be intimidated.
Mhm.
And I thought it was a very fun dynamic in terms of
Yeah,
casting.
totally. Also, I think that Barry Keoghan, he played Ollie, was the perfect choice for that role because he just comes off as a friendly person. He has a friendly face, a harmless face, but then you see him on screen and he's not doing anything. He's not even moving, and he's just sending chills into your spine as soon as he sets his eyes on you, and it's so powerful. He's such a great actor. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see more of his work. I haven't seen any of what he did before. I heard he had great movies,
Okay.
but I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was very disturbing at times the way he was looking, especially when you
Yeah.
see him looking through the window or through
Mhm.
cracked doors. It's just, again, as you said, he's not doing anything,
Yeah.
but it's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there is a bird going insane in our window, so
Right. I
we're
also need to close the
sorry.
door because I hear a door, like I feel like the door is gonna
Okay.
slam shut. Some behind the scenes technical difficulties, or like I don't know, background. No, we don't have background music. We have background birds.
Birds screaming.
En plus, c'est un corbeau. What is a corbeau in English?
A corbeau.
A corbeau.
No, not really.
We'll look it up. We'll write it down. I don't know. Can we wait for him to finish?
I think he's done.
I think it's.
He's just like voicing his opinion about
Yeah.
Saltburn too.
He's agree. He's
like,
part of
no,
the podcast.
I liked Rosamund Pike, the mother.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing her name right, but she was amazing as the mother. Like she had such a great comedic timing. Have you watched Gone Girl?
No, but I just figured out who she reminded me of. The whole movie I was asking myself, and now I just remembered.
Yeah.
Did you watch Gossip Girl?
Yeah.
She reminds me a lot of Serena van der Woodsen's mom. She's
Oh,
like this
really? Yeah.
blonde, rich,
Yeah,
calm,
yeah.
and collected woman who's
True.
like, oh my god, really? I didn't know. And
Mhm.
just the way she behaved, I just
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she should do more comedy. I've only seen her in Gone Girl, and also I Care a Lot, and she always plays a villain.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think she was a villain in this movie?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she's a victim of her own circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Mhm.
I think, yeah. I think she also has a manipulative kind of
Yeah.
side, but it's so subtle that you don't see it that way. But yeah.
Do you know who was the lead in Promising Young Woman?
No.
It's Carey Mulligan. She played Pamela, the red hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. She was the lead in Promising Young Woman.
That was such a funny character. I don't know. Like I don't know if her tattoos are part of her costume or if she actually
Yeah.
has tattoos or not. I just found them so funny. She had okay, probably not, because she
Yeah.
had a tattoo saying "Daddy" on her arm, and I just
Really?
found that so
I
funny.
didn't notice that.
I think it adds to the comedy, like her whole hair and makeup and
Mhm.
style. It
Yeah.
comes to add how
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense. The whole movie doesn't. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
funny.
And so I feel like the colors work, the cinematography was amazing. That's definitely like the strongest point to me. It's I would watch it for hours just to see those vibrant colors, and it definitely looked like a painting, just like Promising Young Woman. They used a lot of pink and blue. Here they use a lot of yellow, red. The use of red was so present. Red wine, red lights, blood, and yeah, it's so interesting what they do with the colors. The script was very well written. It's just that she needs to pick a lane, and she needs to lean more into the weirdness. I feel
Yeah.
like she would be such a brilliant, brilliant director, Emerald, if she just like went all in for what she does, because she does have beautiful, brilliant ideas. Like this movie, it's so promising. But yeah.
Do you think it would appeal to a bigger audience not to go that weird, not to go to the
No,
extreme?
no,
No?
definitely not. But it would appeal to the right audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It maybe it's not gonna be successful like when it comes out, but it's gonna last for decades.
Okay. I
So
see that.
because the quality of it would be higher, you know. And I don't know, like for sure when you choose safe options, you appeal to more masses, but again, it depends on you and who are you trying to please.
Yeah.
It's like Greta Gerwig, and this is very, very controversial, and I'm sorry, but you have Ladybird and you have Barbie. I'm sorry, but I did not like Barbie, and I do not get the hype about it, especially after watching such a brilliant Greta Gerwig movie like
Right, they were
Ladybird.
both done by Greta, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I watched. That's why I watched Lady Bird. It's because I wanted to watch more of her movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, they're so different.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we should review that in a
I mean,
different
it's
podcast.
not that I did not. I'm gonna be honest. It's not that I did not like Barbie. I definitely enjoyed it. I laughed so much, but it's not the kind of movie that I thought about ever after leaving the movie theater. Whereas for Lady Bird, it's a movie that it warmed my heart so much that I keep going back to it just to feel something, you know.
Lady
So
Bird stays with you. Like the
yeah,
character, it's I don't know. Yeah,
yeah,
I do agree. I loved her character.
yeah. So
Yeah,
do we wrap it up?
we can wrap it up. Would you watch the movie again? Yeah, I
We
think you
should,
just said
and you
that.
should
Yeah,
watch Promising Young
I
Woman.
think yeah,
Yeah,
I will.
yeah. Please go watch it, form your own opinion about it, and let us know if you can what you
Yeah.
thought of it. Whether you agree that the movie was messy almost and tried different things and maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, or whether you thought that everything was coherent and that the mystery and comedic effect worked and they were there to help the movie be a great movie or not. So let us know.
Let us know, and thank you for watching.
Thank you. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you
In our
next week,
next episode next
Sunday.
week. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.